I couldn't help noticing you failed to shake hands with one of my guests.
I guess I forgot.
Well, now wait a minute, are you fellas not?
What?
No, nothing. Are you friends or are you polite enemies? Well, let me put that another way. Are you impolite friends?
Well, I'll tell you what we are, because it's interesting, really. I don't know any other case in my life like it. We were friends the last time we saw each other, which was about 2 or 3 years ago. And since then we've been doing nothing but write atrocious things about each other.
I don't like to book people on because they don't like each other, but I did realize you two have written a number of things about each other.
Yes, Gore's have been long and mine have been short.
But you said that
yours seemed long.
Time magazine asked you for a quote, I think, and you said that the subject needed some thought or something like that. And if you want short, quotable quotes, you would go to somebody like Gore Vidal.
No, it was
sound a little
No,
more
it was worse than
snide
that. I said that the need of the magazine reader for a remark that he could repeat at dinner was best served by writers with names like Gore Vidal.
That's right, I badly misquoted you.
I'd really like to get into a discussion with Gore. He's been saying absolutely unspeakable things about me. He's been acting even worse than he usually does as a polemicist. And he's shameless in intellectual argument. He's absolutely without character or moral foundation, or even intellectual substance. Well, this is a very quiet moment that we have here.
It is quiet. I wanted to give you time to defend yourself. If you do you feel you've been attacked?
No, I'm very fond of Norman. There's nothing he can do to attack me. Gore, you can afford to be fond of me because you've said the scurrilous things about me. What did I say about you that was so scurrilous? I attacked your piece.
Well, don't bring up everything.
No, we'll just... I want to tell you something, Janet Flanner, if I may. Gore may bring up everything because the contents of his stomach are no more interesting than the contents of the stomach of an intellectual cow. A Norman Mailer, the veal. While we're slinging meat at each other, somebody bring this all into focus. I'll try to bring it into focus. Norman did a book on women's liberation, and his attitudes towards sex, some very interesting, some quite outrageous. It was a very anti-women's liberation piece, and he was very mean to a couple of the girls, particularly Kate Millett, and I answered this. His piece and a number of others. Norman is taking everything too personally. This is something that I care about, and he happened to be one of my examples of what was wrong with what the women's lib people would call sexism. He has come out firmly against masturbation, against contraception, against abortion.
You will admit you've been accused of being a chauvinist of the worst kind by Kate Millett and
Well,
others.
I know, but that's what's wrong with women's liberation, which is it's a new and it's a young movement.
Oh, for goodness sake, now let's not get back onto that.
I'd love to talk about it for 2 minutes.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, we've heard it all before.
Angel, it's my time now. And the law of the dinner table is that we now talk about what I want to talk about.
Who passed this law?
Didn't you? Don't we agree?
No.
Who passed this
This
law,
law,
did you
this dinner
say?
table law, I've never heard
It's
of
just
it.
that I listened to you.
Gonna be coffee time any minute.
I knew when I came to your house for dinner that I wouldn't get anything to eat. But pass the coffee.
Yes, that's right.
But you have been called in great detail a male chauvinist of the worst kind, and various stories of yours were cited, and this is all water under the bridge, I suppose.
It's just nonsense. It's ridiculous if I have anything at all. I have a complicated mind. In fact, I have a mind so complicated that Gore has said with some justice that my style is getting unreadable. You know, it's the one thing in his critique that I agree with. My style is getting difficult. It's hard when you have a lot in your head to write simple. It's true. Gore has never encountered this problem.
What did you say? I wasn't listening, Norman. What was that?
Small mind, no matter.
No, don't be autobiographical all the time.
Well.
Why did you ask him if he had a copy of this notorious piece of writing? This notorious piece of writing, he brought the one page of it, which was my piece on women's liberation.
It was more of the same after that, Gore.
Piece on women's liberation, and particularly on the people who had started to attack the women, and some of the attacks, particularly from Mailer and Irving, how I thought uncalled for in their tone, and I suppose I was kind of rough in mine.
But you know, these things aren't personal.
Well, I know they're not.
This to me is a position I'm taking.
I'm very serious about politics. I'm very serious about this kind of thing.
No, Gore, you're not. And that's what I objected to in the piece.
Well, then that's up to you to prove. And
you're not serious about politics. You've been in politics all your life, and you've dabbled in it superbly well. You made a marvelous race for Congress some years ago in New York. You worked very hard. I admire the way you worked at that time. You know, one of the wonderful things about you is that with all your profound, essential right-wing snobbery, you've become America's second or third or fourth most lovely liberal, which is one of the prestidigitation games of the intellectual world of the past 20 years.
Second, third, fourth.
Well, you know, who's ahead of you? Nader and a couple of other people. But at any rate, you just have no standards. You have nothing that you're really serious about. And you pay and play terrible games. You go in for intellectual adulteration. And that's what I won't put up with. You can do anything you want to any piece I ever write. You can rip it apart, and by God, I may be bloody on the floor. But if you taught me something about writing, I'll look up and love you for having taught me something about writing. But when you teach me something about the tricks of adulteration that exist in the world, when you talk about the sort of rot that goes on in ecology, that the rivers will never be clean again, and you pollute the intellectual rivers, good God, that's vomitous.
You know, I must say, I think it worries you that I made some comments about your recent writing not being very good.
I think that's neither here nor there.
I wasn't setting myself up as the famous writer's school to give you any hints. It's just that I thought that your subject was...
Why don't you try to talk just one score without yucks? Why don't you just talk to me instead of talking to the audience?
Well, by a curious thing, we have not found ourselves in a friendly neighborhood bar, but both by election are sitting here with an audience, and therefore it would be dishonest for us to pretend otherwise.
All right, Gore, look, we are here with an audience by choice, but let us at least. Hey, Miss Flanner, are you working as the referee or as Mr. Vidal's manager? I'm perfectly willing to accept you in either way. But my mind is fragile, and I find it very hard to think. And if you're muttering in the background, it's difficult.
Wow. Well, I know what annoys him about you, because he's written it. It's the idea of you having sort of assumed the Hemingway lifestyle when Hemingway died. He called it the boozing, brawling, boyisher fool, worried about his liver. That worried me. That was an earlier period. Oh, that was the period of advertisements for myself, when Norman was sounding like that. No, he's changed again. The good thing about him is his constant metamorphosis. He repairs himself like the phoenix. What the next incarnation will be, I don't know. Well, you seem to have me figured out, as though the next reincarnation for me is gonna be Charles Manson. Well, you let yourself... Why don't you read what you wrote? You let yourself in for it. I will tell you, I'll give a little background here. We all know that I stabbed my wife 9 years ago. We do know that, Gore. You were playing on that now, come on! Oh, I'd love to forget about it. No, you don't want to forget about it. You're a liar and a hypocrite. You were playing on it. Playing on the sketch. Wasn't a lie or a hypocrisy. I wasn't going to talk about it. The fact of the matter is that the people who read the New York Review of Books know perfectly well they all know about it. And it's your subtle way of doing it. Oh, I'm beginning to see what bothers you now. Okay, I'm getting the point. Are you ready to apologize? I would apologize if it hurt your feelings, of course I would. No, it hurts my sense of intellectual pollution. Well, I must say, as an expert, you should know about that, Norman. Yes, well, I have had to smell your works from time to time, and that's helped me to become an expert on intellectual pollution. I was going to say...
Men insult each other not only in public, but you act as though you were in private. That's the odd way.
It's the art of television, isn't it?
It's very odd. You act as though you were the only people here.
Aren't we?
They are here. He is here. I am here. And I'm becoming very, very bored.
My. You still haven't told me whether you're Gore's manager or the referee. If you make history here by punching a lady.
I won't have it. I won't have it.
Now look, you see the sort of thing that goes on. Now you say if I make history by punching a lady, you know perfectly well that I'm the gentlest of the four people here. I just hope it lasts through the next whatever we have left. I guarantee I wouldn't hit any of the people here because they are smaller. In what ways? Intellectually smaller. Well, now let me turn my chair and join these three. Perhaps you'd like 2 more chairs to contain your giant intellect. Why don't you look at your question sheet and ask a question? Hey, can I talk to the audience? Why don't you fold it 5 ways and put it where the moon don't shine? Cavett, on your word of honor, on your word of honor, did you just make that up? Or have you had it canned for years and you were waiting for the best moment to use it? I have to tell you a quote from Tolstoy. You just made it up, didn't you? You just made it up on the spur of the moment. You're a poet. Yeah, right. Really a poet. Are you in awe of the creative ability? I'm always in awe of the creative ability whenever it appears in its fair presence, which is as itself. Look, I want to get into something, if I may. I want to talk to the audience, because this audience has been curiously hostile to me from the word go. Now I want to ask the audience something. Are you really all truly idiots, or is it me? Oh, that was the easy answer. Come on.